Hello, I'm Dave Hillier, and this is a video in my Dataless Design series. Today we're going to look at fast UX prototyping and theming. We're going to take advantage of Appian's design library and components built to the Dataless Design specification. All of these components are really easy to use. You can drag them on with null configuration and they take up the space that they're likely to take up in your application. And what we're going to explore today is how we can apply themes to these so that we can take advantage of all the flexibility that Appian has in its UX configuration in an easy way to apply across these pre-built reusable design components. So let's take a look. So we're going to get started with a new application. I'm just going to call it Dataless Theme Explore for the purposes of this workshop. So let's start with a new site, and we can call this Dataless Themes. Accept the security. And let's make a few quick changes to the defaults here and add a page, which is going to be our theme page. And we're going to create a new interface for this. Now this is going to be just a wrapper for my interface. I'm actually going to use another interface, but this is where we're going to configure our theme. So before I explore that, let's just save this site. So we've got that. And I'm going to create a second interface. This is going to be my components. Okay, so we will come back to this shortly, but what I'm going to do here, I'm going to just add some columns, and I'm going to add a rule input, and this is so we can set our theme. I'm going to use the same theme against all of the different objects that we take from the design library. So let's save that, and just for ease of discovery, I'm going to add it to the design library to show you, and we're going to call this component theme layout. So if we go back to our theme container, and I'll just refresh this. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put in a card header, and I'm going to then move to our design library. I'm going to use a few things. So I'm going to use our component theme layout that we just created, and I'm also going to use a header section. So we'll pop this in here. Now I'm separating the header because we're going to apply different themes to the header as to the rest of the body. So there's our banner in, and I'll put the component theme layout in here, which is the one we just made. And I'm going to simply pass in our Dataless theme rule. And at the moment, it needs something. It needs some field. So I'm just going to set the heading size to null, which is basically use the default values. You can see now that the default theme values are pulled through. Okay, so we'll return to this and we'll use this Dataless theme config rule here. So we'll be able to configure all of the parameters in this rule to define the theme against all of the objects that we're using. So now we can return to this one, and we can start our Dataless design process. Okay, so let's explore the design library. We've got our Dataless list components. We've got Dataless selection components. We're not going to use these because these aren't themable. These are individual components like drop downs and hierarchies that are now record backed to make them very easy to configure, but they just have the kind of default Appian styles. these more complicated building blocks accept this theme config that we're using, and some of these helper sections as well, which are not really data backed in the same way, but are useful additions to the set. So we're not going to wire these up too much today. We're really just going to connect them to their theme and play with the styles available through this. Maybe we'll put in a comments block over here, and what I'll do is I'll just add the theme rule input to here, and you can see now it's dropped on with its default null configuration view, giving us some information about what we need to do. Let's take our database tasking checklist in here. Again, let's give it the theme. Let's speed this up for the remaining blocks. So put the document list in, add the theme, put the pick lists and the editable grid in. Put the pick list now. Set the theme, so you get the idea. Couple more blocks, process task list. This doesn't have much to configure. Theme. And an information box. We load the default test values for this one because it has some good examples in there, but we'll wipe out the theme and use ours. We're good to go. Okay, so let's save that and go back to our other interface and just test that where we got to. Okay, so there is our layout now embedded into our wider page layout, and it's all connected up to this theme now that's on the side. So now we can start applying our styles and making this look like the way we want it to look. Let's move this out of the way so we've got a bit more screen real estate to see everything. We're going to start by applying some colors. So I'm going to start with something a bit more positive. We're going to have some greens in here today. I can change the heading size if I want. I think that's probably quite good. Maybe I'll go small today on something a little bit tighter on space. Let's see. Happy with the subheading size. Maybe some of this text, this subheading color, I might actually go accent on these with 2 C's. So they get those subtitles to kind of pop a little bit. Text color will affect all of these. I'll leave this as default for now. The icon color is defaulting to accent as well. Just for illustrative purposes, let's go negative on that one. So we can see some red highlights slide in here. Now I'm going for a rounded theme this time, and the default is showing the card borders in here, so that's the null value. If I want to turn this on and turn this off again so it sets it to false, then I can actually remove those card borders and have it as a more simpler, cleaner layout. We can perhaps try this combination with a standard background color for our contrast. So this gives our boxes that little bit of a bump. Maybe this would look good with the shadow enabled, so you've got that hint. That does make them look a little bit close together perhaps, but we can control that as well. So we can put our list spacing here. We can put more, and that's a bit excessive. I think less is probably where we want to go. These can actually look really nice with none, but in this case, the combination is best where it's the square shape, I think. And you can decide how you want these. So we can have our highlight, of course. We can go a bit crazy and have it on the top. Our decorative bar position, or wherever we want it to be. That's a little bit too much there, but it can look quite nice at the start. And if we want to keep it, if we want to go green, then we can keep it in keeping with that accent that we chose. And we can also do the margins, so we can have it space out a little bit extra if we want to have a bit more of a gap between the different objects. And we also have options to put these into their containers. So I can show the container border on them that's there, and I can put the shadow on that. And we've got the same kind of options here. So if I wanted to have the bar on the top in this case, and I wanted to go rounded, and I wanted to give it some more padding, then I can have that control to set these how I want. And perhaps I even want to have a background color to it. I think my temptation would be to change the main background and have these white, but it's up to you. Let's put that back to none. The default's transparent, and we can have control over our date formats as well. So you can see here we've got March 10th and 10th of March 23. We can kind of standardize how we want these by setting these values. So if I want it to be day, month, year, and time 24 hour, minute. And this is setting separately for the combined format. So I might go that plus that to give us a very standard look and feel. Okay, so that's our theme. If we go up a couple of levels, maybe we can just finish off and set this to transparent background. I'm going to save this and have one last kind of look at our finished format. So in our site, our accent color is a slightly different color, so you can see that it's adjusted. We can control that at the site level. But you know what? I'm not entirely happy with this. There's one last thing I think we've got time to make a change on before we end this. Let's go back into our theme configuration, and I'm going to have my containers are going to be collapsible, so that I can have that control over the sections. And actually, I don't want them to be sections at all. I'm going to change those sections to something a bit more boxy. We can lose our decorative card position at this point, and I think that's where we want to be. One last look. Perfect. So we've really got the control that we want over these components. It's very quick and easy. So there we go. That's fast UX prototyping and theming using design library components that have been built in the Dataless Design methodology. Next time we'll have a look at how we configure these objects to use our record data.